kick the bucket in the middle of the session there. So, strategy is in place and working fantastically. We've got the finance that's going to make it all happen. We've got our people are absolutely flying, completely engaged, really doing the business. And our marketing starts to work. Fantastic, and people are coming to us, and we're getting the opportunity to go and meet with people. And as that famous sales guru Robert Louis Stevenson said, everybody lives by selling something. Nothing happens until somebody sells something to somebody else. That's what makes the world go round. So we're going to have a quick look at effective selling strategies. There's that strategy word again. And this is the difference between having a brilliant salesperson or the business owner being fantastic at doing it, to actually implementing and developing and designing the strategy that anybody can take over and use within your business to effect effective selling. Okay, my name is Nick Howes, part of a company called Leadership Management UK, so we're around leadership management, personal development and sales training. And this idea, we have a 6-point process really for effective selling strategies, some of which has been brilliantly covered already. Defining your target market, you've got to know who you're going after, and how do you approach that market, whether it's getting people to come to you or effectively going to them. Next is the sales interview. Would help me if you could just raise your hand if you are involved with that process in your business where you meet customers and you talk to customers. That's pretty much everybody. Fantastic. We have a conversation, don't we? The ultimate kind of part of the business is when we meet somebody who may do business with us. And we call it the sales interview, and I love the idea of an interview because it's two-way. A job interview, somebody's offering a job and somebody else is choosing whether they want the job, and that only happens if both are in agreement. And this idea of designing the conversation so that both parties will come out feeling fantastic at the end of it. In our business, which is a training business, people love to stand up and talk and facilitate and coach and all these sorts of things, and often say, I don't really like the selling part of it. But actually, as we get into it and we learn this sales interview process, most of us in our business across the UK will say, well, actually that's one of the best bits and the things we really enjoy because it comes a discovery conversation with a really positive outcome. Part of that then is discovering people's prime buying motives. What is it that's making them want to do business with you? What is it that they have in their mind, not the things that I assume they would want, but actually what are the reasons they might be seeking to buy? Because people love to buy, they don't like to be sold to. If somebody says, oh, you were really salesy, or he's clearly a salesman, they're not saying that in a nice way typically, are they? But having a positive conversation. And these things can be designed and developed so that they're relevant to what you do, so that anybody can pick it up and learn it. And then finally, how do we close sales and overcoming stalls and objections? Because there'll be similar ones that are constantly coming up in terms of the thing that you're selling, whether it's a service or a product. But in a lot of companies have never sat down and thought, what are they? And how are we effectively going to deal with those? So again, somebody new coming in, we can educate them in how to do it. Right, so this sales interview, which I particularly like to focus on, a quote comes to mind, again, somebody not particularly known as a salesperson, but Estee Lauder. She said, when I believe in something, I sell it, and I sell it hard. And this idea of kind of selling really hard and effectively, but in a way that is a positive experience for all involved. So there's a 9-step process that happens here. And the first 3 is about building rapport, credibility and trust. Rapport, one says that's just the people element of it, and people can learn to do that. But this credibility and trust needs to be established right at the beginning. And one of the ways that we do this, and we have this scripted, is just to say, I'd love to spend the majority of our time finding out about your situation, your business, and what kind of challenges and things that you'd like to look at. That would really help me. But first, can we just take 2 or 3 minutes and I'll give you a bit of background to our business and how we operate. And then if we can find a way that we can really effectively work together, then that would be a fantastic conclusion to this meeting. And what we say in that next couple of minutes is all designed to build that credibility and trust, to put people at ease. One of the things that we would say there is, our goal is to work with you and all of your key people. But for today, don't worry about any of that. We'd just like to invite one, or perhaps one or two of yourself and your key people to come and experience firsthand what we do. And it's all about building trust, putting people at ease, to make that conversation as effective and useful as possible. The next three we're typically quite effective at, the who, what, the why, the nuts and bolts of what's involved in what they may be looking for and what we may be selling. But then these last two, 7 and 8, again, are often not given nearly enough attention. So the value, establishing value and also urgency for the prospect in terms of why they might want to buy. So value, if I can discover that the thing I'm selling for £5,000 over the next 3 months is going to be worth £19,000 to that client, are they going to buy? Yes, of course they are. Unless something's gone badly wrong. So we might say, well, how much are you currently losing in lost revenue? Or how much are those staff absences costing you? Or what about those tribunals? Or how much in those errors on the production line costing you per week? So if we could do something that halved that, what would that be worth to you? So we're establishing value, and that just takes a bit of thought to set that up. The questions that will help the prospect to tell you the value in what you may be able to do. And then the urgency question, rather than going away and thinking about it, say, well, let's talk in a year's time, depending on the level of relationship you have. You might want to say, so do you want to do something now, or wait till it gets worse? Or it might be, in another way of like, what's that? Is that something that needs to be looked at now, or is that that battery dying?
It is. Carry on.
Okay. Is that something we want to look at now? Or what happens if you do nothing for the next 3 months? Or questions that really establish an urgency that causes people to want to take action. And then finally, the simple thing is just to create a plan. What's the plan? How are we going to move forward? And having that thought through so you can clearly articulate that. Okay, so that sales interview becomes a hugely positive and effective process that can be scripted, like a great actor or actress can learn a script but deliver it. It's got the key lines, and there might be a little bit of ad-lib in it, and it feels very natural, but it's learned to deliver the key elements of your selling strategy. So, my 3 tips are to plan and role play your sales interview. Practice it. Practice. What are the questions? As a company, we often say, well, let's practice, let's rehearse a scenario. What would you ask here? What question would you follow up that with when the customer says this? And it's really helpful in that becoming really a good process. Develop a list of questions that add value or establish value and create urgency. Again, one of the questions we use is we have a sort of an ongoing process. Is that something you feel you can solve yourself, or would you really benefit from a structured process over time to help you implement that? Again, it's a design question that makes the customer think, yeah, actually, that's right, that is what I need. And then finally, because those sales interviews are brilliant and it's a positive experience, you say, well, who else do you know that would value this sort of conversation to help them move forward in their business? And it's a great thing. 96% of people, satisfied customers in a survey, said they'd be happy to introduce that person to others who think might also benefit. 4% only are ever asked. So there's money on the table there, isn't there? In a warm way to go and have another one of those conversations. That's my time done. Thank you very much. That's the last of your 5 9-minute speeches, and then we'll hand back over to Nigel. Thank you.